Right folks, how's it going? It's that time of the week again. So let's get into it. I never know how to start. I'll just go straight into it. I guess normal people say, hello, how are you doing? My name's X. Thank you for tuning in. I'm like, oh God. When I watch videos like that, I'm like, please get to the point. And then after 5 minutes of introducing themselves, they'll say something like, let's get straight into it. And I'm like, you already talked for 5 minutes. That's not getting straight into it. I'm doing air quotes, by the way. I'm a bit feisty today. Okay, let's get straight into it then, gang. My weekly performance was 1.11%. And for the first time, I've beaten all of them. I mean, it doesn't really mean much because I know I'll end up losing out. It's I've pretty much admitted to myself now that the choices I make aren't for doing better. They are for keeping me invested. The investments I choose, they're not necessarily going to do the most optimum thing for me, but they just feel right. And because they feel right, I'm happy to just keep invested for the whole time. So that's why I don't get too excited when I beat all three of my alternatives. I mean, the only alternative is somewhere half between those two, as I've mentioned many times. Okay, so let's see where that performance came from then for the week. And as we can see here, obviously the biotech ones haven't done very well, have they? And I did notice that HFL and Schroder Oriental Income both did quite well this week. And I think that is because China sort of mentioned some sort of stimulus package, I think. Something like that. Anything else of note there? Oh yeah, smaller companies had a nice little performance. It's still not back to its high. It was up at about 38 grand at one point, wasn't it, a few weeks ago? Or maybe a few months, I don't know. The passage of time is hard to follow at the moment. I figured we'd have a little look in on Fundsmith. Oh, sorry, let me do my usual full screen so that if anyone wants to have a look through it slowly, they can in full screen. You can pause there. So if you look at Fundsmith as well, I think there's a couple of things I wanted just to show you. You'll notice here that LVMH is 18% up. Otis Worldwide is 9% up. Atlas Copco, I'm not sure why that one's up, but I think LVMH and L'Oreal, they're up a lot because of the China thing. They must have lots happening in China. I think, to be honest, I think that's why LVMH has been down so much recently. Yeah, so there's the whole Fundsmith portfolio. I'll leave it like that if anyone wants to have a proper look at it. And so here's all the dividends that came through during the week. It's a bit of a dry spell on the dividend front this week. But obviously next week should be a big one. I actually don't know if it will be, but the 30th tends to be, or the last day of the month tends to be a big one, where a lot of the trusts seem to pay their dividend on the last day. You'll notice there that the Montenegro European smaller companies got paid. Well, they didn't actually get paid. It got paid on the 16th, but it got transferred from Hargreaves Lansdown to AJ Bell. So that indicates now that the ELISA transfer is completely done. So there was no problems with it whatsoever, really. It just happened over the 3-4 weeks. What would it have been? So 23rd was when it was properly finished, and it started on the 22nd. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 1 day less than 4 weeks. And now the announcements. We had one here from Impact Healthcare REIT. Basically, from what I remember, I think it said that they've changed tenants of some of the homes, and it seems like part of the reasoning is so that they can refurbish the homes. I think maybe the tenants of some of them weren't financially doing great, so they've passed it on, and they've given incentives to the new tenants. That happens a lot actually in commercial property. I know because my mother owns one. I know that when they have to get new tenants, part of the deal is that they have it rent free for a short amount of time, maybe 9 months or something, or 6 months. So that I think the idea is that when a new tenant moves into a place with commercial property, they tend to do work on the place themselves. So they have a capital expenditure when they move in. So landlords tend to give incentives at the beginning of a lease that's maybe 5 to 10 years long. Back in the day, they used to be like 20-year leases. I remember that's the gist of it, I think. So that's obviously not good news, but I mean, the market didn't seem to care that much. It was up 1.98% over the week, so it can't be that bad news. In a way, it's good because they're sorting out a problem. In a way, it could be bad, couldn't it? Because what if all of the other homes have similar issues and this is just the first of many? Who knows? It's hard to say, isn't it? You know. So yeah, as always, don't follow me into any investment because I really do not do much due diligence or have much success. So really, don't follow me. So the other announcement was that Merchants had its half-year report. Bit of a strange. Well, it's not strange, but it's just like it gives you mixed feelings, I think, because it's like their total income was 1.1% more in pound terms compared to the first half of the previous year. But the earnings per share, because of issuance of new shares, has reduced by 1.7%. I mean, really, when we think about these things, we should be thinking in total return terms. Even though I invest specifically for income because I'm retired and it gives me a nice sense of security, I know intellectually we should be investing for total return, even in retirement. So in terms of that total return, what's happened here is good because issuing new shares is accretive to the NAV. They sell shares above the NAV and then they buy investments at NAV. And so what it does is, even though short term it's reduced the income we got in a year per share, from that point onwards, when they invest the proceeds of issuing new shares, from that point onwards, they'll have more assets for the future to generate income. And so in the future, it should, all other things being equal, it should give them an opportunity to increase the dividend in the future more than they might be able to do now. I hope that makes sense. But anyway, there was a dividend increase this month. If we look here, we can see, I always find this view better. If you click in here, we can see a few years, well, it's a bit messy, this one, isn't it? I don't know why it's all down here and then it comes up here. But anyway, we can see there it's gone up to 7.3 pence from 7.2. If we go into my little spreadsheet that monitors my trust's dividend progress, we can see there that if they kept it at 7.3 for the financial year, it would be a 2.46% increase, which is, you know, it's enough in these recovering from COVID times where there was no decrease in the dividend. That's good enough for me. We can get growth from other parts of the portfolio. That's one of my highest yielders, so I don't expect massive increases from Merchants, to be honest. At a yield of 4.94%, you know, 2-3% a year increases is plenty. So when I project out my dividends, I just put the latest one in for Merchants because they never decrease it even from quarter to quarter, unlike Scottish American. So it was a 0.1. That's how much the dividend increased by. So my my yearly projected income is up by £14.54, which is nice to see. You know, it just gradually goes up. That number does. It's nice to see. So yeah, my total for the year is projected to be that much. We add on the bonuses from the LISA and the SIP, which could be ending soon. You know, it's we're only a few weeks away, aren't we, from Labour's first budget? So that at some point that could be going, and I might be down to this. But I mean, spoiler for a future video, I'm on track to spend about £11,000 this year, so it's really not a big deal. Nothing makes me happier than getting a bargain. You'll notice here there's another tab on the spreadsheet, ideas. So if you've got any ideas for, I just envisage at some point this will be the whole content of the video, just those two bits, and there'll be nothing else to talk about. So I've got 2 ideas here for the time when that happens, and there's nothing here and there's nothing here. So if you've got anything to add to it, I'll see what I can do. I can't promise anything though. Yeah, that's it, I think. I'll see you next week. Have fun. Bye-bye.